to go.
Good morning, everybody. This is the January 12th, 2023 Coastal Permit Administrator hearing. First meeting of 2023. Welcome, everybody. First of all, the Mendocino County Coastal Permit Administrator meetings will be conducted virtually and not available for in-person public participation. The provisions of Government Code Section 54953 and the recommendation of the Mendocino County Health Officer. Meetings are live streamed and available for viewing on the Mendocino County YouTube page. All right, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 11 a.m. May I please get a determination of noticing?
All items on the agenda have been properly noticed.
Thank you. Okay, that moves us to the regular calendar. Item 3A, CDP 2019-0018. Owner applicant is Anna Denise Moody. This is a request for a standard coastal development permit. After the fact request to remove and relocate a 64 square foot playhouse and a hot tub. Permit 120 square foot storage building. Remove a 450 square foot outbuilding, plumbing, electrical panel and line, a fence from the inside the dunes, a greenhouse by the entrance, and 120 square foot from the sensitive habitat area and adjacent to the state park. And this project has been determined to be a statutory exemption under CEQA. The project is located within the coastal zone 3.2 miles north of Cleon on the west side of State Route 1, located at 27,730 North Highway 1, Assessors Parcel number 069-010-13. And may I please get a staff report?
Thank you, Permit Administrator. First off, I would like to correct the date on the top of the staff report. It should state today's date at January 12th, 2023. Okay, I would like to move forward. Hello, I am Planner TSR. Today I'm presenting CDP 2019-0018. Just as the CPA mentioned and discussed in the staff report, an area of the dunes adjacent to the McCarraker State Park was disturbed by the unpermitted development. The applicant submitted this coastal development permit as part of their efforts to address a code violation inquiry that was opened March 22nd, 2018. The project does not demonstrate that the potential hazards are avoided and has not demonstrated how coastal element goals and policies protecting habitats and natural resources, agriculture, hazards management, visual resources, shoreline access, and transportation utilities and public services would be satisfied. The proposed project requires an updated site plan and biological scoping survey with mitigation plans for the new proposed building locations, buffer reduction, and to restore the impact to the dunes, an environmentally sensitive habitat area. Staff has attempted to contact applicants by phone, emails, requesting updated documents, but no response was received from the applicant. On June 23rd, 2022, and August 17th, 2022, staff mailed out certified letters addressing the required documents and informed applicant our office will be moving forward on the project, recommending denial. Our office received no updates or response from the applicant. The project site is within the rural residential zoning district, as shown on the zoning display map. On September 22nd, 2021, a referral was sent out to multiple agencies for comments. Please see California Department of Fish and Wildlife and California Coastal Commission comments detailed in the staff report. As demonstrated in the staff report, the proposed project request is inconsistent with the certified local coastal program goals and policies. Staff recommends denial of the proposed project. This concludes my presentation, and I am available to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from staff? Vandy?
Yes, if I may, through the CPA, just one additional edit to the staff report under the recommendations at the end of the staff report. The term "without prejudice" should be stricken from the report. That's the only additional comment.
Thank you. Okay, do we have the applicant online?
We do. We have the applicant.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, can you
Can you hear
please
me?
identify yourself for the record?
Yes, I'm Anna Denise Moody,
All right.
property
I'll
owner.
turn it over to you.
Yes, I have been working with Vandy Vanwater on getting some documentation together for a building that is an older building, and it's on Assessors Map, but it's not drawn on the Assessors Map. So he is requesting more documentation proving that building, and I can't update the biological report until I know the outcome of that building. So that's been the delay for the last year, I would say. And so I'm asking for an extension.
Staff, any comments?
Vandy Vanwater, Senior Planner. I have been in communications with Ms. Moody. I have informed, we have gone through the assessor's records. I have actually earlier this year went physically to the assessor's office and had a conversation regarding this outbuilding. And that conversation produced or resulted in my determination that the outbuilding was not legal non-conforming due to the building is not listed under the assessed structures. Additionally, when I discussed whether or not this outbuilding would be under that, the assessor at the time told me that if it wasn't in the written portion, it would have at least appeared in there's a gridded site plan included with the assessor's record, and it should have been listed there, and it wasn't. So based off my conversations with the assessor's office, I was not able to determine the building to be legal non-conforming. I have informed Ms. Moody that if she can communicate with the assessor's office and clarify that the outbuilding is in fact on that record, that we could reconsider the legal nonconformity of the outbuilding that is currently located in the dunes. But we have yet to receive documentation that specific building is legal non-conforming.
So
May I say another thing?
To staff, if this building is the one that's in question, it's in the dunes, and if it were removed, it wouldn't be an issue. But again, there's no documentation, no proof that this building is a legal non-conforming structure.
Based on my communications with the assessors, no, I would say this is not a legal non-conforming structure at this time, and yes, it would need to be removed from the dunes.
If I could say something. So as far as my biological studies points out, and Michael from Fish and Game, that building is not located in the dunes. It's under a bunch of eucalyptus trees, and it's outside of any habitat. So, I don't know if that's something to consider. It's not in the dune location. And also, when I got red tagged back in, I think it was 16 or 17, that's when this project all began. I went into the county building. They informed me that documents had burned from some sort of arson back in the 70s, and that what I would need to do would be to get that building dated, and that's what they used to do, was date old buildings. Also, the assessor's map says various outbuildings, and on my grid, it only shows 2 buildings. By definition, various would mean more than 2. And up in the left-hand corner of the assessors, it has multiple buildings. Some written and that you can't see anymore. Various buildings is still there. It's not crossed out or anything. So my argument with the assessors has been that there has been documentation loss. My property is very long. All they have is one piece of paper, and everything they assessed on that says it was in the flat location of my property. It doesn't mention that they walked the property. And so my question is, where are these various outbuildings? Various meaning more than 2 buildings. All they have drawn on my plans is my house, the pump house, and another building. So various meaning more than 2. Where is the rest of the documents? Well, back when I talked to Julia Kroger, when she worked at the county, she said, her supervisor said that things were lost during that time of that arson back in the 70s, that I would be getting the building dated. As I went to go find somebody to date the building, I got moved. Julia got moved over to Ukiah. Therefore, then I started working with Juliana Cherry, and her story was totally different. That wouldn't be available to me. So that's what I've been working with.
All right, thank you. So, question for staff. What conversations, documentation do we have from the Coastal Commission?
Planner TSR, are you asking about the documentation for the outbuilding?
Yes.
The Coastal
Like
Commission.
everything is centered around the outbuilding, and I'm just curious, what, if any, comments, documentation from the Coastal Commission was brought into the discussion?
The Coastal Commission didn't mention the outbuilding of the 450 square foot outbuilding. And going back to the assessor's record, I'm actually looking at it right now. For the miscellaneous structures, and it says various outbuildings, there's only 2 that was listed on there. One was actually scratched off and crossed off, and the other one says pump house. So, and it was highlighted.
There's 3 buildings on there. There's 3 various outbuildings.
Ms. Moody,
Sorry.
I've asked staff to weigh in on this. May I have you wait until I call upon you?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Thank you. Tia,
And sorry. And what I noticed, and I have reviewed this with my senior, Vandy, it looks like there are 2 that was recorded, and the size of the building was also recorded, but one of them was scratched out and crossed off by the assessor. One that was left on there was just the pump house. So as Ms. Moody mentioned, various outbuilding, when I did my research, I was told by the assessor that there was 2 and one was scratched off. It looks like it was probably removed. The only thing that we do have listed on the outbuilding that was not scratched off is the pump house 14 by 14.
So Tia, walk me through the site plan contained in the staff report. What I show is there's a residence on the front of the property, there's an outbuilding, and then you start moving back towards the rear of the property. So if you could go by each of the buildings and just identify and tell me, as you're going through these buildings, which one is the one in question?
The one in question would be the outbuilding that is 10 foot from the property line to the side property line. It's more towards the middle of the property. Like across from the existing hot tub. To the left of it.
To the left where it says old outbuilding.
Correct, sir. And
Right.
with our review, the 10-foot does not meet the setback for State Park right there. Our setback is requiring, I believe, 100-foot setback. Ms. Moody is requesting a 50-foot reduction through the California Department of Fish and Wildlife in her report. But the 10-foot for the old outbuilding does not meet that 50-foot reduced buffer anyways.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back and have more questions. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anybody, members of the public, that wish to speak on this matter?
It appears we don't have anyone from the
Okay,
public.
seeing none, I'm bringing it back to the coastal permit administrator. So there's a question. I mean, 450 square feet, that's a significant size building that obviously has popped up and is the question of this permit. And so far, there's no documentation on this building as to its existence. And I'm sure the assessor would have picked it up for assessment purposes at 450 square feet. That's a significant size building. I mean, 120 square feet, 100 square feet, I could see a little outbuilding not being picked up at 450 feet. And this is a question for staff. How far back did the assessor's records go back in time on the?
Senior planner, Vandy Vandewater. I believe that record actually has a date of the year 60 on it. And then separately, in my discussion with the assessor's office, I would like to note that they did note that even if the structure had no value, they would have added it as a no value structure to the assessment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just surprised that they did not pick it up because they do pick these things up. So I'm baffled that this is a ghost structure, for a lack of term. I guess one question that I've got for staff is, Ms. Moody had asked for additional time, and I'm assuming that it's to prove that this building is legal non-conforming. How much time has been provided thus far to provide that information? Because I think in the opening presentation is that staff had reached out and there was no response. And I'd just like some clarification from staff on this.
Sorry, Planner TSR. I started this project that was reassigned to me about 2 years ago. I've been working with Ms. Moody in questioning the year built of that building. And we have been going back and forth and have involved Vandy, my senior, in determining the outbuilding. And until today, we still have not been able to obtain any evidence that it is non-conforming from the applicant.
All
So
right.
it's been about 2 years of back and forth about this outbuilding, sir.
All right, thank you. What is the date of the February CPA meeting? The first one in February.
I don't have that on here. for the 2nd,
February 2nd?
February 2nd.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this item to February 2nd CPA meeting. And at that point, I will need written verification that shows that this structure is an existing non-conforming structure. Perhaps Ms. Moody can attempt to obtain such documentation from the assessor's office. Otherwise, you know, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt here to the applicant. But if there's no documentation, the building doesn't exist and would need to be removed. So I'm going to go ahead and continue it to February 2nd, CPA, for adequate documentation to be provided to staff within 2 weeks, so that staff has enough time to analyze the information and then bring back to the CPA a determination.
If I may, through the chair or the CPA. Previous communications with Ms. Moody, we have requested for that document, we have stated that written communications with the assessor's office would suffice as documentation, not necessarily a map, but if she can provide communications from the assessor detailing this outbuilding and its legality, then if the CPA is willing, staff feels that that would be sufficient information.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I cannot make a decision until I have such information. If such information cannot be provided, then I cannot support this matter going forward. So yes, Tia?
If I may, permit Administrator, the date is going to be February 9th, not February 2nd.
February 9th. Thank you. So this item will be continued to February 9th. Ms. Moody, do you understand what I'm looking for?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. One thing is there's three things located on the assessor's map. Tia said there were only 2. There's 3 different buildings written there. So what are you looking for from the assessors?
I'm looking for
What
written
kind of
documentation that this building in question is truly, has been there for quite a while. And when we look at, is this legal non-conforming? You know, has it been there since before 1974? I'll accept that.
Okay. And
So
that needs to come from the assessors?
That needs to come from the assessor's office, that this actually has been there for quite a while. That documentation should be provided to staff, either to Mr. Vanderwater or Ms. Starr. And once they've got that documentation, they'll either move forward with the same recommendation based on the lack of information, or they can go ahead and modify their recommendation.
Okay,
So
I had
this-
one problem. I had one problem with the assessors is there was a boundary line dispute with our neighbor, making them think they own that outbuilding. I can't get their documentation for their property because it's not public record. Is that something Vandy can acquire from them?
Well, you know, this is on your property, this is your information. You'll need to work with the assessor's office and with staff to deal with this. I'm looking for documentation that actually shows that this structure has been there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you. So this item is continued to February 9th.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, that brings us to item 3B. And this is CVPM 2022-001. Owner is Robert Vallis and Kara Wissiger. The agent is Jeff Wall. The request is an amendment to CDP 2022-001, 0010, excuse me, which authorized development of a test well on the site. The amendment includes a request to convert the test well to a production well, construct a single-family residence and accessory structure, and connect to utility service per the original requests of CDP 2022-0010. The project has been determined to be categorically exempt from CEQA. The project is located in the coastal zone 2± miles north of Mendocino on the south side of Drifters Reef Drive, a private road, 600 feet plus minus west of its intersection with Point Cabrillo Drive, located at 45,225 Drifters Reef Drive in Mendocino, Assessor's Parcel number 118-200-17. May I please get a staff report?
Yes, thank you. This is Liam Crowley, staff. As stated, this is a modification to CDP 2022-0010 that was approved by the Coastal Permit Administrator on July 14th, 2022. And at that time, there was concerns from the Coastal Commission that adequate water supply had not been demonstrated prior to issuance of the CDP for the original scope of work, which was the single-family home and the accessory structures. So since that time, the test well has been drilled and tested, and it's confirmed that adequate water supply is available. And the modification would allow the originally proposed scope of work, including the single-family residence and the accessory structures. Again, staff's determined that the project is categorically exempt from further review under CEQA. And staff found that the project as conditioned is consistent with the certified LCP and the coastal zoning code. And that's all discussed in the staff report, and that includes the demonstration of adequate water supply. On October 20th, 2022, the modification request was referred to various relevant agencies, and any relevant comments that were received are discussed in full in the staff report. So to close, staff recommends CPA approves the project subject to the conditions in the staff report. I didn't receive any public comments on this, and I'm available for any questions. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so with that, do we have the applicant online?
We do. We have the owner applicant online.
All right. Mr. Vallis, go ahead. Please identify yourself for the record.
Yeah, this is Robert Vallis. I'm the owner of the property, and just as Liam stated, we feel that we've basically, dotted all those I's, crossed all those T's. We've done all the required reports, such as the wetlands report, as well as the reduced buffer analysis on the forest. The parcel is 2.79 acres in size. About half of it is that Bishop Pine forest, and we have basically located the development so that it's completely free of that forest. And basically, the only spot that can be developed on that site, it's a 1,500 square foot house plus accessory structures. The entire project, including the driveway, covers 3% of that 2.79 acres. And our plan is to basically, we have to anyway, but our plan anyway is to leave the rest of the land completely untouched. And so we just feel like we're stewards of, this Bishop Pines forest, and basically just want to, site this, relatively modest home on the parcel.
All right, thank you very much for that explanation.
Sure.
Anybody else from the applicant side that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on this matter. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll return it back to the CPA. And staff, thank you very much for a detailed staff report. And so I will go ahead and based on the findings and recommendations contained in the staff report, I will go ahead and move to approve the project pursuant to the findings contained in the staff report as well as the conditions of approval. Mr. Vallis, thank you very much. Your project's approved.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You all have a good day.
Thank you. All right, that moves us to item number 3C, CDP 2022-0014. Owner applicant is Judith Kahn, agent is Robert Kirby. Request is a follow-up to emergency coastal development permit to rebuild an existing residence in the same location, remove a second story, and convert to one story with added decking attached and detached garage. This project has been determined to be categorically exempt from CEQA. Project is located in the coastal zone, located 0.4 plus minus miles from Little River Town Center on the west side of Stickney Ranch Road, 0.06 plus minus miles from its intersection with Little River Airport Road, located at 7,420 Stickney Ranch Road, Assessors Parcel Number 121-320-13. May I please get a staff report?
Thank you, CPA. This is Senior Planner Vandy Vandewater. I am stepping in for Planner Matt Goins, who is not present today. As you noted, this is a follow-up CDP to an emergency permit to rebuild an existing residence in the same location. In going through the local coastal program consistency, the project planner found that the project was consistent with all aspects of the program, including land use, zoning, habitats and natural resources, visual resources, grading, archaeological, groundwater, transportation, and public access. A quick note is that this project is in conditionally highly scenic area. However, the development would not be visible from Highway 1. The project does adhere to several of the requirements of the highly scenic, which again are not applicable as the project is not visible from Highway 1. But it does conform with building height and the appearance, the reflective surfaces requirements for development in highly scenic areas. The project was found to be categorically exempt under Section 15303 of the guidelines for CEQA. Lastly, the project is able to make all the necessary findings required for coastal development permits, and staff recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you very much. And I think I noted on the staff report that it has a December 13th date on it, 2022, and this is because this item has been remanded back to the CPA from the Board of Supervisors.
Correct.
Just for clarification. All right, thank you. All right, so at this point, do we have any members of the applicant side that wish to speak on this matter? Does the applicant wish to make any comments or speak on this matter? Ms. Khan.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please identify yourself for the record.
Judith Khan, I'm the applicant owner. Robert Kirby's here too. We'd prefer to respond if there's any people of the public, and then we'll state our comments afterwards.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll return it back to the CPA. And Ms. Khan, do you have any closing statements, comments?
I'd just like to know if there's been no opposition, if it will be approved today, because we've been working on this for a long time, as you know, and the building department, we've already paid for building permits. The remainder of the permits have already gone through building. I'd just like to get this as soon as possible. So can it, assuming since there's no opposition, will it issue today? That's my question.
I see nobody has spoken opposition of this, and staff is recommending approval. So I'm looking to staff for the recommendation.
So Senior Planner Vandy Vandewater, just to address that comment real quick, if approved today, there would be an appeal period of 10 days with the county, and that's 10 working days, followed by a 10 business day appeal period with the Coastal Commission. And after that, then issuance of the CDP could proceed. But other than that, there should be no issue, and staff does recommend approval of the project.
Okay,
All
can,
right, thank you.
again, can I just say one more thing? So can at least issue today so we can get the ball rolling on those appeal periods?
Well, the appeal periods have to lapse before the CDP is issued.
I meant the approval today. Whatever needs to happen, can it happen with alacrity so that the appeal period can start to ensue, unfold?
That's what staff's recommendation is to approve.
Okay, perfect.
If I may, through the CPA, sorry, I apologize. This is an administrative CDP, so the project actually would not have a coastal commission appeal period, and thus would only have the 10-day appeal period, working day.
Okay, and would that start today? That was my question.
If approved, yes, it would start today.
And is it going to be approved? Yes.
That's a decision for the CPA.
Okay, so I'm asking,
you.
if it's going to be approved.
Thank you. All right, so I'll return it back to the CPA. All right, in consideration of the documentation provided here today, which includes staff's presentation as well as the documentation in the staff report, staff will go ahead and, excuse me, not staff, but the CPA will approve CDP 2022-0014 pursuant to the findings contained in the staff report as well as the conditions in the staff report. Ms. Khan, your project is approved. Thank you very much. That moves us to item number 3D, which is CDP 2022-0025. The owner is Ann Giusti Larocco. The request is a standard coastal development permit to re-roof an existing single-family residence. The environmental determination is that this is categorically exempt from CEQA. And the project is located in the coastal zone 3.1 plus minus miles south of Fort Bragg at the end of Pacific Way. 2,683 square feet plus or minus feet west of its intersection with Ocean Drive, located at 33,620 Pacific Way at Fort Bragg. Parcel number is 017-060-07. And please get a staff report.
Thank you. Keith Gronendijk, Mendocino County Planner. The project site is a bluff-top parcel adjacent to the Pacific Ocean. The parcel is relatively flat around the existing residence with vegetation surrounding the entire parcel. A steep drop-off to the ocean is located to the north of the residence, and a rock face can be found on the west-facing side of the lot, which leads down to the ocean as well. The 1,562 square foot residence is the only structure on site with connections to existing well and septic. Oops. Other structures on the property include a 2-car detached garage and what looks like 3 small well houses. Surrounding properties all fall under the same land use designation and are developed with residential units. I should note that the owner applicant called and said she couldn't attend the meeting because she has a previous family function that she couldn't postpone. I should note that the re-roof materials stated in the project description will match the existing color, and new gutters would also match existing color. The project was found to be consistent with the goals and policies of a local coastal program, and staff recommends approval of this re-roof project.
Thank you very much. Are there any, I guess you've answered the question that the applicant is not online.
No, she is not.
All right, so with that, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll return it back to the CPA. Thank you very much for a very detailed staff report and explanation. In consideration of the evidence provided here today, the staff report, staff's presentation, and documentation, I'll go ahead and move to approve CDP 2022-0025 based on the findings and conditions contained in the staff report. This item is approved. All right, that moves us to item number 4, matters from staff. Are there any matters from staff? Seeing none. Matters from the public. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on a non-agendized item? Seeing none, I'll return it back to the CPA and I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 11:39 a.m. Thank you very much. This concludes the CPA hearing.